Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MSI 2025. Your ears are not deceiving you. That is Silver Scrapes in the background as our first head-to-head here in this tournament between FURIA and G2 is going the distance. If you've missed it so far, it's been a battle, and we're about to go in to game number 5.
What a treat. What a treat. What a treat this first series has been. Can't wait to see how it's going to shape up. Because this is a position that I realistically don't think anyone could have expected. You know, even the biggest people, again, the general consensus was as long as we look good. It's what matters. Yeah. Getting a game would be huge. Getting 2 games will be fully out there. But with how this performance has gone, especially given how close that game 3 looked and how little pressure there is on FURIA, you gotta feel for G2 here. They were the overwhelming favorite. They are obviously, historically, a team that Europe has relied upon. And FURIA back on red side again, a side that I think for them, particularly that last game, has been looking wonderful.
Let's get into the draft. The misfortune will continue to be the first ban for G2, the most played pick for IU throughout Split 2, Spring Split, however you'd like to refer to it, there in the LTA South. They do not want him on that one. Banning out the Aurora and the Smolder as well on the G2 side. Meanwhile, Twisted Fate and Azir remain the bans for FURIA. G2, after the loss in Game 4, electing to be on the blue side. FURIA thinking about that final ban.
Might be Senna. I wonder, the Smolder ban can either be they want to prioritize an early Senna pick. We've seen Smolder into Senna a lot. Or you want to try and look for a melee mid laner. Obviously, like the Sylas, for example, is still available. And that's something that the Smolder does well into as well. Right? We've seen it used as a counter pick to Sylas. Yone is another example that is still on the board. Game 5 in Fearless. It always gets funky, Cap.
This is the best part of Fearless right here. 20 additional bans.
And there it is. Senna Prio, so that Smolder ban in the context of that. But the Caitlyn ban is so interesting because it does mean that one of the possible punishes is taken off the board. This is just matching scaling with scaling, but Jinx can be deceptively strong early because of the range advantage.
20 additional bans per side. I had to think about that for a second. Yeah. We so rarely get Game 5s.
It's wild.
Here
well, I mean, speak for yourself. I've had plenty of Game 5s.
Okay, yeah, in my experience, I haven't had a lot of them. I still got to get used to the math here. But we got, we do have that Senna that you were talking about locked in for G2. Over on the FURIA side, though, the response will be the Jace as well as Leona. And this deep into Fearless, these powerful engaged supports are very heavily limited, right? We've already seen Nautilus. We've already seen Rel. We've already seen Rakan. We've already seen so much of it.
I'd just be Braum. But Braum, when Ornn is already out and you're playing into a Jace, that feels bad, right? You really want to try and find a source of engage. But the Braum does come true because it's good into the Leona. Okay. But Senna Braum, as far as Braum pairings go, that's not
You're not going
to be super excited about it, but it does make sense in context of the matchup. But it also means that if you do end up going for like a Jinx or another Hyperscaler, there is so little opportunity to punish, as there is the Yone we talked about earlier as well.
Yeah, the Yone, very, very strong. And FURIA's response, we got some long-range artillery power. We got Jace locked in alongside a Ziggs for FURIA.
I love this. One of the big problems when you face against Senna, particularly when paired with a Braum, is eventually her range becomes a substantial issue. And even though in theory, you know, once you get on top of her, you're able to take her down, actually doing that is much easier said than done. Ziggs, though, it's almost impossible to farm stacks of him early on, because, like, realistically, he should be looking to trade with you a ton. And his ultimate late game will just blow you up. And you don't have a reliable way outside of straight up flashing to get out of that. I love the Ziggs-Leona combo. It does mean that they need another source of AD. We already do have the Jace here as the Camille gets taken away. I'm wondering if you're going to get to the point where you start banning things like Tristana, right? That is still left as one of the AD mid laners. This Jace could also theoretically still be flexed to mid. And even the Ziggs isn't necessarily tied, I don't have to tell you this, to that bot lane.
Exactly. The Ziggs could go a couple different spots here. We'll see exactly how that shakes out, as top lane is the target for both teams here in the second half of the ban phase. Camille removed by FURIA, while the Ambessa eliminated here in the draft by G2. I do expect FURIA to continue to try to put pressure onto Broken Blade. Sejuani, another character that oftentimes, considering her popularity in so many metas of the past, it's surprising to see still available in a Game 5, but not pickable now.
That's a wonderful band. Like Yone, Braum, Sejuani as a core.
Yeah.
That's kind of disgusting. So much power, the double CC passive, the lead taken away, which I really like. I do think as FURIA here, you're looking towards AD setups. So much, or so many rather, of them are already gone, and you also have to obviously be mindful of counter pick when it comes to the jungle matchup. This should be a jungle pick up here to not really show what is going where, unless they have something really crazy saved here, but that is going to be the Lilia, so that is an AP source, meaning that they are desperately in need of a little bit of additional AD.
Yeah. The one nice part about not having a whole ton of AD thus far, there's not a true tank on the side of G2. Closest thing is Braum, and all the tankiness really comes from the door. You don't have the econ to be a true meatball. As how does G2 want to play it? I still need to see a top laner. I still need to see a jungler. I'm going to get a big old boy with a beer belly that could play either one, technically.
We've seen that one a ton. That's a classic. Mentioned him already early. Gragas, the setup that he has into a lot of the opposing team is actually really good, right? Not a lot of surefire ways available to deal with the... Oh, I love that, because the Jarvan, so it would have been exceptional as well if they do want to really get weird with it on the side of FURIA, right? It's something that pairs well with Ziggs. And at this point, I'm like, FURIA, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm willing to trust, as it does indeed look like the Gnar, which is a crazy good matchup, into that Gragas can come through here, meaning that the Jace will get swapped.
Okay, that's what it is.
I just love it when teams actually use R5 counter pick.
Yeah, it's great.
Reassess a draft, right? To pivot at the last second when there's no opportunity for your opponent to respond. And looking at these two drafts, there is so much explosiveness, right? But when you look at the drafts as a whole, I think I prefer FURIA's, right? It's a very, very damage profile. I think the matchups, particularly in top and bot, look great. Because one of the things that you can do against Ziggs is obviously try and look for ways to get on them early, try to shut them out of the game. But with Braum Senna, there's just no shot that that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not a ton of immediate aggressive threat there between those two champions.
Not particularly.
Now, granted, there is a lot of engage power with the other three picks on the G2 composition. Gragas can find some pretty crazy angles with casks.
True.
We know that Jarvan has some very long engage ranges with the EQ combo into the R. Yone is a very balanced character and has a lot of opportunities to do a lot of things.
Oh, I thought you were going to say a lot of opportunity for counterplay.
Yeah, he has a ton of that too.
For his opponent, right?
Yeah, for sure. But there's so much potential here if he's out of position for IU's side to get punished later on in the game. But I do agree with you, the laning phase should be just pretty standard stuff down here in the bottom lane. Where do you expect to see most of our action? And I know I'm setting you up for a trap question here, because last time around we expected a farming Nocturne and we got 2 or 3 ganks before level 6.
It was 2-0 before level 6. I do remember that.
Yeah.
I gotta look towards that top side.
Okay.
It's the trio of Gragas, Yone, and that Jarvan that I think have so much offensive power, and they need to sync up well, because I still feel like G2 are very often seemingly all over the place. Now, an invade would make sense. You do have Braum, absolute level 1 beast, but Braum, not a part of this play. So it looks like it is just going to be a setup for Vision early on here.
Yeah, they'll drop the standard chicken ward for the side of G2. You could see that Toots' positioning, he was standing far enough out in the lane because they only saw the top side of G2. He would be able to see if the Braum and Senna were trying to trail up behind them through the fog. So that's going to stop any type of a full style invade.
Defensive ward as well. They really don't want to get cheesed.
Yeah.
Level 1 for Lilia is obviously not great.
Lilia is a very high-tempo jungler as well.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll see how well Tatu can power farm, or if he wants to power farm at all. Generally, it's like a PvP level 3 type of angle here.
At this point, I'm trusting him. I don't know what he's going to do.
I think he's earned that.
He really has with his performance throughout the day. And the other is that, again, they should be Gigo in a favorable matchup, and he has been performing admirably today. And there's also the bigger context, right? Like the amount of pressure that you got to imagine G2 is feeling, given the historic importance of this team, given the expectations that were there on FURIA for being clearly the 10th place team in this tournament. That's not what we're seeing in this series, Captain.
No, absolutely not. Hans and Lebrov taking early control over the wave down here, but again, it's Ziggs. He'll be fine. Just want to be able to keep farming up. Jojo does take a little bit of poke, connects the Zenith Blade. Level 2 versus level 2, though. Jojo will not get locked up there by the concussive blows, so that was way out of that one.
That was a really good satchel. I don't think you want to take that.
No.
Ian's Leo.
Probably not. It was definitely looking a little bit dicey from where I'm standing, but checking back in across the lanes here with a try. Lane cam, Caps ends up on the very bad end of a losing trade there as Gigo reverting back into mini Gnar here. Wants to get that hyper proc onto Broken Blade, but Broken Blade will not allow him the opportunity to do so. Toots with the wave crashing into tier 1 turret here for Caps.
Particularly, yeah, with the grasp, Toots gets to farm so much value off of these early levels. The reason why I think Jace has been such a menace is because he's so much tankier as Caps.
Yeah, Caps in some serious danger here. The last shot might get it. Toots eats a turret shot, though. Both mid laners now very low on HP, both drinking the potions. Toots with a slight health advantage.
Level up.
Both junglers thinking about it. Skewmon gonna grab his red buff there. Fires off the Scryer's plant, sees Tatu. Tatu, though, now also level 4. Lilia versus Jarvan. Bowling ball misses.
He has mid prio, but doesn't have it in the bot lane. Do they really want to play for this? I think they should. Yeah, it's a good call.
Choosing not to. Another bowling ball goes wide. Tatu, though, wants to make sure he can secure the top side. Crab does not want to get double scuttled here early on, and should be able to do just that with the Eep. Starting it off, Caps, again, just has to pretty much always concede priority of the lane early on to the ranged power of the Jace. Jojo goes right back in for a Zenith Blade. Another satchel. Teleport to return Gigo back up to the top lane. Goes back for his initial purchase to get the level 1 boots alongside the Null Magic Mantle. So a little bit of extra move speed I feel like is very effective, particularly against Gragas, because everything can technically be avoided.
Yeah, there's also the value of Mercs, kind of counterintuitively towards Gragas, because his E feels like it should be a knock-up, but it's also kind of not. Mercs does in fact reduce.
Oh, nice flash out from Hans. He's in danger, though. Jojo and IU continuing to try to put the pressure on. Zenith Blade there with the max range. First blood over to FURIA. Finally, after 5 games, the first blood isn't in top lane, and it's a 2v2 kill from Jojo and IU. Toots versus Caps back in the mid lane at the same time. Toots wants to clear the wave, but he may have overstayed. He'll step back now, wants to get that last auto attack. Caps, though, with a Q3 primed, dashes in for the knockup, and Caps gets the solo kill. He punishes Toots' greed.
I don't know about that one, IU. Goes for the flash, doesn't quite find it, but that earlier play towards bot lane. This is a Ziggs lane. You can't be straight up getting 2v2'd by this duo, and yet that's what we just witnessed. Then the fact that Caps very clearly priming that Q3, Toots holding on to his flash to, I think, his own regret. That solo kill was big. Caps is a man that has done so much over such a long period of time. As we take another look, there's an issue he doesn't hit, and I think that's what kind of bolsters G2. Yeah. But Jojo doesn't really take that much damage. And even with the flash from Hans, they still get on top of him. As in the picture-in-picture, looks like they're fine as, a possible gank. Hey, at the moment that the Senna, it's actually caught, obviously you're not going to be able to get away. As we take another look at the mid lane play, Toots just desperately wanting to hold on to his flash. You just gotta, right?
I feel like even earlier than that, you just gotta let the minion go. Yeah. It's a ranged minion at 5 HP. Oh, fate sealed from Caps, but Toots just steps slightly to the left and guarantees that's not gonna connect.
But with that whole sequence of plays, Gold's dead even. And that's where I like it.
That's what we want to see. Gigo versus Broken Blade up here on the top side. Yes, a definitive HP advantage for the Gragas. However, out of mana now. So not going to be able to trade as effectively as he would like. Worth pointing out, Broken Blade is still very even on farm with his opponent. This is important to note because of the fact that Gigo has been winning the head-to-head in top for pretty much the entire series. Skewmon stealing away some chickens now as Toots is going to walk up and see this. He is only about 2/3 HP though. Immediately activates the electric field. Skewmon getting back away as Caps goes in, but Jojo's ready to cover. Toots goes to the skies, flashes back over the wall to get away. Jojo also dropping the exhaust there. Toots playing really aggressively, very dangerously. Nearly gives over another kill yet again as Caps' Yone is keeping the pressure on. Jojo goes in with him, goes in after him with the Zenith Blade, but there's no way to follow up there for Toots. Meanwhile, Skewmon getting it done up in the top side. Caps is burning down the Ignite in mid lane, but he survives just barely. G2 come out +1 across the rift.
The Skewmon pathing towards top, finds the punish onto the Gnar there, putting Broken Blade in a much better position, and meanwhile Caps absorbing pressure. Found the solo bolo, not threatened as, oh, Ayu doesn't have flash.
Ayu could be in some serious trouble here. Lebrav and Hans putting the damage into him. Nice use of the root there. Yes, Ayu trades back as good as he can, but he doesn't hit the satchel, and G2 gets paid. Feat of Warfare claimed by Hans Sama and Lebrav.
And in the span of what feels like a very short amount of time, G2 firmly retaking their grasp on this game. The gold lead approaching 1K now. And kills on some of the most important members, particularly Caps and Hans Sama. Those kills are very valuable as we do see Tatu, obviously Lilia, very good at taking these grubs, will be getting them in addition to their early dragon. And this is also one of those compositions where if it goes late as Furia, I think you're not bothered whatsoever, particularly with the Gnar in the side lane, and that matchup I think is going to get more and more rough when it comes to Broken Blade's 1v1. We'll see if they're instead going to match Caps, because he obviously has been having a great game. But the fact that eventually Ziggs reaches a point where even if you kill him, if he just presses R on top of himself and there's too many people there, the fight might still be cooked.
As long as you fire each ability at least once, it's like, okay, I did a ton of damage.
Job.
Job's
peeking
done.
The damage charts, no biggie.
You can see, especially over there on the side, XP per level, or XP plus level, excuse me. Caps way out in front of everybody else, getting the extra EXP from securing that solo kill for himself. But now back up here in the top side, fully completed Mercury Treads. Again, I think that boots are just so valuable against Gragas specifically. I like this choice. Now immediately the fight over the Scuttle Crab. Tatu finds a two-man watch out Eve, but G2 brought more men. Caps goes right back in for a little bit more damage. Tatu flashing away. He's alive with a Mega Inferno Bomb firing back from Furia. Tatu still escaping. G2 still trying to fight. Skewmon wants to get away, but the bowling ball doesn't find the mark. Now, Toots has to continue his retreat as Jojo is trapped inside the Cataclysm, and Skewmon is locking him up. Furia loses out on the fight. G2 makes their move. They secure the kill, and they steal away the enemy jungle.
And Furia keeps going for these messy early plays. You have a Ziggs. You have a Lilith. Just let them get their first item at least. And G2 says, thank you very much. Caps, happy to go for these fights. Skewmon with the Jarvan. So much mobility, right? The ability to just quickly get over walls. Something that I don't really think Furia are ready for as Jojo trying to make a play on top.
Yeah, Jojo used the unsealed spellbook to switch over to teleport, but a beautiful move there from Broken Blade to clear out the wave, make it so there's no angle for Furia to try to get their play here. But Broken Blade, he recalls in time, nicely done, immediately stopping what Furia wanted to do.
Tuts.
Tuts, he will survive because Yone has to snap back to the sole origin point.
Yeah, that was really nice done by Broken Blade. He simultaneously cleared the wave, knocked back Gigo into his own waiting barrel. Nicely done. Clears the wave, and G2, they're absorbing all these plays, so Furia investing a lot of resources and it not quite working out. We do see the Archangels come through. This is the type of game where Archangels, I think, makes a decent amount of sense. There's so much backline access, so much burst that comes through. We hope that the rest will be more damage-oriented. Tatu should also be approaching his Leandries relatively soon, but then Caps obviously Getting very close now, especially with that gold lead towards that Blade of the Ruined King. Skewmont has his Sunder done as well.
And I've really got my eye on Caps in this one. He's already off to a 2-0 start. He's playing a character that scales incredibly well. He's playing a true 1v9 champion. And we talked before, you know, there's always the conversation. Is it claps or is it craps, right? You look back at the finals for the LEC. You look back at that rematch that they had against Imkoi that G2 had won in the upper bracket originally. And you look at some of Caps' critical mistakes in that series and you say, if Caps wouldn't have done that, could G2 have been the first seed from the LEC? And when Caps is on, there's a reason that most people, many people, myself included, consider this guy the greatest Western player of all time because he just has that X factor. And I want to see if he can pull it off here in this one and bring G2 the win. As FURIA now looking to step up and try to contest here for the Drake, but G2's ready to respond. Jojo's going to get locked up here at the very start. He should die before anything else even happens. Nice stolen flare comes down over the top as LeBron is finally going to be traded back, but FURIA have already lost 2.
As meanwhile, Gigo towards the top side of the map has to flash.
Nicely done from Broken Blade there, winning out in that little bit of a 1v1 scrappy trade. G2, they'll take the objective and they'll win the fight.
Favorable trade. This Jarvan coming up massively, right? You already talk, I think, in terms of 1v1, Caps has just been outstanding this game. Found the early kill, been able to really keep the pressure in mid up as well, simultaneously keeping a lot of pride, but also absorbing multiple ganks. But Skewmont in these skirmishes has been the biggest difference maker for me. Finding the flag and drags and these consistent ultimates on targets without flash that are just, like Tatu was just sitting like, what can I do?
Yeah.
I'm stuck.
So let's take another look here.
As highlighted, yes, a lot of damage goes into the Eclipsed Leona, but it doesn't really matter because neither Tuts nor Ayu are in a position to do any damage. And again, I got to question the decision-making from FURIA, which it makes sense, right? This is a team that has been playing very aggressive all day, but a Ziggs on only an Archangel, it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Like, he just has no damage. There just isn't enough available. We'll see if they're able to make use of his passive to get an early turret. Plates are about to drop, so maybe with some help they can get something going there, as we'll see if Lebrov is actually in trouble. I don't think he is.
Okay. All right. Backing away from that one. Tatu maintaining control over the bot side river. FURIA trying to slow the game down a little bit, I would think, here, as G2 is up to a 6-2 kill lead. The praises that you're giving Skewmont, I 100% agree. He's had a great early game so far, as we just now passed the mark with the turret plates falling. 3-0-1 here on the Jarvan. Largest individual gold lead in the game, 1,500 for him. The team lead is 1,800. Skewmont is the majority of that lead here for the side of G2. And remember that this is his first international appearance. Tuts flashing away after the Cataclysm collides. The EQ combo sidestep there to potentially follow up the flash.
But that's still a colossal win. Trading your Jarvan ult for a flash, you'll take that any time, because now Caps has way more playmaking potential. That means that Tuts needs to play way more respectful on this Jace, because if he walks up, gets clipped by an ultimate, he just straight up dies as, oh, Ayu, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, Ayu wants to go all the way out, but Broken Blade brings him all the way back in. The center route still locks up the Ziggs a little bit longer. G2's not going to get the kill they're looking for, but if nothing else, Chronicler, it was a beautiful distraction, because meanwhile, Skewmont and Caps are going after the Rift Herald. Jojo is there for some reason. He flashes over the wall to stay alive, trying to escape the dawning shadow. But Hans Sama dials it in.
Hans does find him in the end with the ultimate. If Broken Blade actually does hit the flash E, he's definitely dead. Instead, not going to be the case. Ayu does survive, but the objective goes the way of G2. That's gold in the bot side going over the Gigo, though. That is a big win, and it's why the gold lead hasn't ballooned too much. Obviously, once Herald comes down, currently sitting on Skewmont, that is going to probably change substantially, as gold lead looking good for G2. They do also have a lot of scaling elements that I think obviously Senna is kind of the textbook with this when it comes to the range. I just do feel like Ziggs becomes such a big problem as we get deeper into the game. But with how FURIA thus far has been playing around it, I don't know if we'll get there.
Yeah. honestly, G2's first 16 minutes of the game have been massively better than Furia's. They have been more coordinated. They've been more successful with the plays that they're looking for. Furia does not want to refuse a fight. They always want to take these scraps, even when they shouldn't.
I also am worried for Furia because G2 obviously picked up the last Drake, and I think they're in a really good position given the gold lead that they're currently sitting on to start stacking these Ocean Drakes. Playing Ziggs into a team with Ocean Soul that's not a good time. That's not fun.
Ooh, Mega Inferno Bomb to clear out the wave there. But Chronicler, do you know what we have here again? It's another battle for the boots in Game 5. Ooh. Turrets one way, kills the other. 2 neutral objectives for either side. The next neutral, which is that Drake spawning in 15 seconds, has the additional reward of the Enchanted Shoes on top. Toots jumping in here for another trade against Caps, who immediately resets the Soul Unbound so he can continue walking away. Jojo makes his way up here, but there's nothing to do.
Him being shown on vision, that might be enough of a vote of confidence for G2 to just take this dragon.
Yeah.
It's just Gigo in a dream by himself here towards the bottom side of the map. He can't really do too much. And Caps playing respectful, right? He's not in a position hiding in fog where they can actually take him down. The TP comes through as well. Do they want to commit to the dive anyway? They might, but
no, that's
too much of a risk, and it's Brom. I think that makes sense. The Unsealed Spellbook comes up huge.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Remember, we saw Jojo try a similar play earlier using the Unsealed Spellbook to go top to look for a dive on Broken Blade, but then Broken Blade did a good job stopping it. This time around, Labrov going up top, looking to stop things himself.
What?
As Broken Blade, how did he get here? He's immediately just destroyed by Gigo, as now G2 wants to try to show up, salvage this a little bit here. A little bit more damage would be able to kill the last remaining HP on that tier 1 turret. Gigo about to lose his Mega Gnar. He reverts to Mini as soon as the fight starts. Gigo's about to die here in the very beginning. Hansama's already got the kill. Caps with a massive fate sealed. And Furia is cut to ribbons. Double kill, Hansama.
And Furia just walks into the waiting arms of G2 and says, thank you very much. They were so ready for this. Mega Gnar was about to time out. Half the team wasn't there, and still they commit. Then G2, that like 1.5k gold lead range, it's nice. I don't think it's enough, but now I think bot lane turret is going to fall. Mid lane turret fell. The dragon came through as it starts off with a great player towards the bot side of the map as they're able to get Broken Blade with a nice flank TP from Toots. But then the follow-up here. This is one of those situations where maybe if you play it slow, you get a little bit of poke down, there could be an angle, and yes, you're a member up, but if the members aren't here, that doesn't matter. Gigo gets hit by the ultimate, just gets CC'd to death, and they don't have the damage.
I just don't get what Gigo was doing there. If your Gnar bar is full at that moment, I can see the angle that you're going for. Maybe go in, big Mega Gnar into the wall, buy a little bit of time, and you can see Caps is loving that decision because it means it's a free fight for G2. It's a 4,000 gold lead, 19.5 minutes into the game. They're up in Drake stacking. This one is all G2 all the time.
Looking at the item finishes as well. Hansama sitting on 2, Cap sitting on 2, Skewmon definitely going to be close. Broken Blade, Winter done. And the only measly gold lead that's there for Furia is Gigo, about 450. That's not really going to move the marker.
No.
And with the game state in its current spot, we can't really, realistically, unless G2, you know, overcommitted to an Otacon or a Baron, something where the AoE damage and CC that's available for Furia can actually do its work. We shouldn't get to the point where this IU sitting on 4 items, right? He has Death Cap, he has Void Staff, can just blow through any target on the enemy team. Not able to contest these waves. They have so much sustain. I think his Otacon is a freebie for G2.
Yeah, no way for Furia to try to contest this one. You can see nobody's even on this half of the map.
I mean, they go for the cross map. They know, right?
Yeah,
even if they're there.
It's like, you can't fight this. Look at Caps' inventory. He has the powered-up Berserker Greaves. He has the Immortal Shield Bow. He has Blade of the Ruined King. He's got a 3-0-5 scoreline on this Yone. There is no way you are getting anywhere near this. Skewmon also on the Jarvan. Same scoreline as Caps. Honestly, just having an incredible game here in this game number 5. First series of play-ins. stepping up to the plate. I love to see it, especially from a player that, like I've said before, this is his first international competition, right? Like, it's not like this guy is a seasoned veteran like some of his teammates, right? Like Caps, like Hans Sama, like Broken Blade. He's new to the scene. He's coming in. He's replacing Yike. And now here in Game 5, he's showing up.
And so much of the early skirmishing went the way that it did because of his plays. Starrick's now done for him. A lot of extra beefiness. That's at Flowers. There is one thing that is always mentioned when it comes to FURIA, and that they never give up. And we've seen it countless times today. And for G2, given the position that they're in, I think they have a very firm grip on this game. But we have seen their attention slip. Think back to that game number 3, where yes, they were able to get the win anyway, but it was not a clean affair. And I imagine right now the comms are focused on, let's make sure that we keep playing it out the way we have. Let's get Prio, push out a wave, get vision together. Don't get baited into anything.
Big thing that I'm looking at, inventories hitting fully completed item power spikes. When you're looking at the jungle, they both have 2 fully completed items as the Riftmaker is now online for Tatu. In the mid lane, it's a fully stacked and evolved Muramana for the Jace. In the bottom lane, yes, the Seraphs is fully evolved, but also the Leandries now completed for IU. So if FURIA wants a chance, they might have it, but not if Gigo does that. Walks right into an unwarded brush, and Gigo gets dunked right into the ground. Scumon's happy to send him there as immediately the Solar Flare and the Mega Inferno Bomb are completely wasted. G2 looking for more opportunities to maybe keep chasing as FURIA scrambles to fire back.
Such a nice little play there, found by G2. Scumon. Really, I haven't often described Jarvans as sneaky, but that was definitely what that was.
Stealth Jarvan.
Stealth Jarvan coming to you here in game number 5. Found a way into the brush, and Gigo had already used his hop, and they had full vision of him, right? He was caught in the brush. The soul point now imminent for G2. And even if they end up killing Broken Blade, which I don't think is a given, he has Fimbulwinter, he has Flash.
He's hard to kill, man.
He is hard to kill. He has Cosmic Drive as well. Even if they do, he has soul point. I don't think you really care.
Yeah, Caps is here to immediately turn it around. Toots is already dead. Tatu's about to join him. Caps goes on a rampage and goes right back to farming, while Scumon brings G2 to soul point. 23 minutes into the game, 6,000 gold lead. FURIA has fallen apart in game number 5, and G2 has dismantled them.
As I'm sure sighs of relief can be heard across the entire
all across
continent
the European continent.
As right now, 6k gold lead, 1 dragon away, and even a Baron attempt, I don't really feel too worried about. And this is where I think the Senna value really does shine through. You have, obviously, with the Yone, a lot of damage, can very quickly shoot for that big health bar, but you also stay very healthy. And trying to engage into a Braum and Gragas, even when the game state is even, is kind of a nightmare. And the damage that FURIA has available just isn't enough. I just don't think that they have the items right now.
Okay, Jojo, yeah, you can see that to me felt like a frustration ulti.
Oh, there's been a few of those.
A lot of
play as well.
A lot of these Leona ultis are not hitting the mark.
Not just him, right? We had the one of the ults go haywire as well was Caps.
Caps might just find himself, if that Q3 hits and he gets the follow-up auto after, I think that's a kill on the reset damage.
Oh, it is. Oh, it is. Would have been nice, a little bonus for G2, but they're not really in need of any bonuses.
No. I'm reading this bounty thing here on the bottom part of our screen. Looks like a bank statement, as we've just got all of these values. 216 gold, 613 gold, 700 gold maxed out bounty on Caps, 582 nearly maxed out there for Hans Sama and Scumond as well. Honestly, if FURIA can get the shutdowns, it would be nice, but the fact that they're as high as they are means it's probably not likely. G2 grabbing one, forcing the flash out of Toots as he barely manages to escape, and G2 are just going to knock down this tier 2 turret up here in the top lane. We have finally hit 25 minutes on the clock. Baron Nashor is alive on the Rift, and you can see the pings already coming out from G2.
G2 very safe on this Baron attempt. I don't think there's a lot that can go wrong. Tatu does have his flash available. We need to see either him flash in, or we need to see a steal from the Ziggs, and it looks like G2 just not going to give him the opportunity. Instead, just pulling off you know, just keep doing this, right? There's not really any opportunity cost for you. Your waves are pushed out. Mid lane turret is still standing, so Hans can safely keep farming those souls, and we haven't talked about them a lot, but about to hit 80. Looking good. Range is going to be a big issue for anyone on Furia that isn't Ziggs, especially given the items that Hans already has available. Rapid fire cannon done. And G2 looking poised to take this series. Maybe not in the way that we were expecting, but this final game, it does feel like the most one-sided one we've had thus far.
Yeah, even comparing it back to game number 2, which was also very one-sided, this one just feels like a...
It's a little different.
Yeah, this one is here proving a point. Caps with the Infinity Edge now completed on the Yone. Very easy for him and Skewmon to just two-man this Baron. Everybody else can run interference. Broken Blade split pushing down in the bottom lane at the same time.
Right,
does have his teleport to join. Everybody on Furia going for maybe their last chance gambit here at the Baron pit. Gigo gets locked up again, though. Immediate problem as the Mini-Gnar is down. Caps unstoppable. Skewmon chasing after Ayu, who immediately flashes out of the Cataclysm. Broken Blade, nicely placed ulti knocks Toots right back into the waiting arms of G2, and Ayu is not going to escape with the kill onto the Ziggs. G2 knows they won this fight.
And that's Baron for G2. Furia just don't have anything that they can do. G2, one step ahead of them. The vision is there. They're not going to give the opportunity for a Ziggs steal. They're not going to let Tatu anywhere near, knowing that if they play this out cleanly, there's just nothing that they can do. Broken Blade sets them up. Skewmon, these ultimates have been such a big issue for Furia. He can go in on any play, and he really has. So Rebel Baron Power Blade comes through, and it's already an 11k gold lead, Flowers. It's not going to get better.
No, especially not when things like this happen. Again, another fight starts as Guigo enters Mini-Gnar.
And Caps goes in with impunity. The item finishers are there. Even going into a choke point like this, there's just no threat from the side of Furia. Skewmon keeps on chasing. Broken Blaze really nice her off to the edge of the fight, setting up a tasty treat for the rest of his team. Toots get knocked back, promptly dispatched. And even Ziggs is not going to be able to clear these waves in time.
Remember that Ocean Soul you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Yeah, looks like that's about to rear its head here as well, as now we've got G2 with a Baron for the next 2 minutes, with Soul for the rest of the game, with a 12,000 gold lead, and with Baroned up minions ready to collide into the Furia base. This is the absolute most dire possible situation for Furia as they scramble to try to defend. Center route there onto Gigo, again in Mini-Gnar, just never finding the right timings on the Mega-Gnar to really have an effect on these fights early on. And now we're so far past that, G2's just kind of playing the game however they want to play it.
You can see it as well, right? You can feel the difference. The way Caps is playing on this Yone, just going in, getting cooldowns, popping back out again.
Yeah.
He's not afraid at all, starting with a solo kill.
Right back in there, it's Toots having a flash into the Cataclysm, and Tatu's already down on Sama, grabbing the kill as Caps continues diving forward, godlike with the kill on his lane opponent yet again. Gigo trying to escape, the Mega-Gnar's on the run, but Skewmon's on the hunt. Broken Blade throws out an ulti, but it will not knock anybody back. It will not matter either. G2 on the game-ending push now. They've made their way to the Nexus turrets. Furia, only 3 men standing, can do nothing to resist the onslaught as G2 are going to pad their stats one last time in Game 5 as they make their way onto the Nexus. It was a brutal battle start to finish, but G2 win Game 5 and the first series of MSI 2025.
I believe that's what G2 calls content. Flowers, that's what I've been told. And it was a bumpy series, but this final game was anything but. From minute one, it felt like G2 was playing the way that we expected them coming into the day, right?
Yeah.
It was Caps popping off in the 1v1. It was Skewmon making his impact known in basically every single lane. And despite us, I think, both being worried for that bot lane 2v2 kill, Hans ended up going down. It didn't end up mattering. As G2, the series again was a bumpy ride. The final game